Hello and welcome to the 18th group exhibit of hydrogen fuel cells at the Hannover Messe 2012. Please come and join us, take a seat, there are free drinks, and join me in interviewing ITM Power. We're going to be talking about the development of a new membrane material. We're going to be talking to Dr. Simon Bourne, CTO of the company. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage. Hi, Simon. Take a seat. So, ITM Power, maybe you can first of all introduce the company a little bit and yourself.
Sure. Well, hi everybody. ITM is principally an electrolyzer company. What we do is build systems that generate hydrogen from principally renewable energy. We do systems for conventional industrial applications, but also we generate hydrogen for refueling vehicles. And that's something that we've been doing this week in the Ride and Drive. We've been refueling the High Cologne bus. And it's been nice to be making some hydrogen on site. It's been good.
Yeah, fantastic. So we're going to be talking about the development of a new membrane material. So tell us, why is the membrane such an important element in the electrolyzer?
Okay, well, there are two main types of electrolyzer technology. One uses a membrane, and that's the type that we develop, and another uses a liquid electrolyte. And they've both got positive and negative attributes. The main features that a membrane gives you in an electrolyzer is that you tend to be able to run at a higher current density. And what that means is that you can make a lot more gas in a smaller volume, and that's quite important for a number of applications. The other thing that it allows you to do, because the membrane forms a physical barrier between the hydrogen side of the system and the oxygen side of the system, you can use differential pressure. So we're always trying to deliver hydrogen at really high pressure, but we're not usually too bothered about the oxygen. And so what we can afford to do is run the oxygen at low pressure, and that means that we haven't got to spend money on high pressure components, which helps bring the system cost down. So a membrane allows you to do that. It also helps with hydrogen purity, because again, you've got no easy route for oxygen to get its way into the hydrogen stream, and that's a good thing because people want to know exactly what the purity of their hydrogen is, particularly when using it for fuel cell vehicles.
And so tell us, what are the key features of your membrane?
Okay, well, we've been developing a membrane material for some time now, and the key differences from conventional membrane materials are that it's hydrocarbon rather than fluorocarbon. And that's quite important because fluorocarbons are very expensive, and they take a lot of they demand a lot of care in their manufacture because of the chemicals that you need to use. So going further than that, it's a case of having very good mechanical properties so that the material is robust and can survive the rigorous process of surviving operation. And also it's about having as very high ionic conductivity, and that's important because it makes the fuel cell or electrolyzer as efficient as possible.
Okay, so how do you go about, as ITM Power, how do you go about improving a membrane? How does that development route, how does that work?
Okay, well, one of the unique things about our membrane material is that it allows you a great deal of flexibility in terms of its key characteristics. And so what we do is we buy in liquid chemicals that are available in bulk from multiple suppliers all around the world, and then we purify them and mix them together in a formula that we choose. And so what we can do is alter the ratio of those ingredients and change some components for others, so that you can change mechanical properties, ionic properties, over a very wide range. And that's something that you can sit down with some experienced chemists and try and predict on paper what's going to happen and how you might choose to formulate your membrane. And we've done a lot of that. But also we've done a lot of trial and error, and really you have to do a lot of experimentation, a lot of testing, and make sure that you understand the relationships between all of the ingredients. And that for us has been kind of 7 years worth of work to try and make sure we understand that well enough so that we can optimize membranes, knowing that we are enhancing the particular property that we're looking for.
Yeah, so where are you now then? Are your membranes currently commercially available, or are you still in development?
Well, we use the membrane material in some of our own products, and we also use them in a lot of projects that we're doing with partners right now. We are not selling our membrane material to other people for in the electrolyzer side of the business. What we prefer to do is to incorporate the full system into a product and sell the complete solution. And we feel that the membrane material is a particular competitive advantage, so that's something we'd rather keep to ourselves.
No, sure. And are there any? How do you raise awareness for your product?
Well, awareness is a key thing, and coming to events like this is a big part of it. We've been trying to talk quite a lot in both this forum and the technical forum, so that we can communicate what we've got. But also, I think it's about bringing products that actually operate and putting them in situations where they're highly visible and are doing are demonstrating what's technically possible. And a good example of that has been our host program that one of my colleagues talked about a few days ago, where instead of showing people things on PowerPoint, you actually build the plant, you take it to somebody's site, and you allow it to be operated so that they can see it works, they can take measurements and understand exactly what that technology could do for their particular business.
Yeah, fantastic. But you're also working on a membrane for fuel cells. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, that's right. We as I mentioned, our focus has been on electrolyzers, and that's why all of the products we've got here are of that nature. But there's always been a small part of our development pursuing the membrane for fuel cell use, and it's showing some very good performance in that area, and we believe it gives a significant competitive advantage. So the technology isn't as mature as it is for the electrolyzers, but we've done a lot of extensive testing to show, in particular, how it can improve power density, which is one of the key parameters for bringing the cost of fuel cells down.
And will ITM be producing its own fuel cells?
We don't have any plans to produce our own fuel cell system, but what we do see ourselves becoming in time is a supplier of a key component to a fuel cell, which would be the membrane and the MEA. And we're very aware that there's been a lot of money spent on stack designs and system designs for fuel cells, and there's little point us repeating that development work. So we'd rather focus our attention on the area where we think we can add the most value, and work in partnership with others to offer a full solution together.
Okay, fantastic. But how does that process work? How do you modify a membrane to also work in a fuel cell?
Well, there is a classic issue in cases like this where the technology company has its own ideas and it tries to push those out and push them forward. The difficult thing to do is to develop relationships with end users that are genuinely productive. So you can get a specification and a description from those end users in terms of what they actually want and what performance and what parameters they're after. And once you've got that information, you can go back into the laboratory if necessary and make subtle modifications by changing the chemical composition, changing the mechanical reinforcements used often, to make sure that you optimize the material for their particular purpose.
Okay, and how do you move then from this R&D phase to commercialization?
Well, that's been described to me as crossing the valley of death before, and it is a challenge. The way ITM has gone about dealing with that is that we initially raised money by floating on the stock exchange, and that core money we've been using to develop the suite of products that we've got today, so that we have a revenue stream that can support our onward development. But in addition to that, grant funding is also important, and there are a number of different grants you can get that are covering the hydrogen and fuel cell space. It's very topical and popular right now. And what we try to do is access some of those grant funding streams where appropriate, where they are well matched to our development plans. And that is a process of trying to build a consortium that can deliver technically and commercially on a technology. And that's one of the principal routes that we've been using for the membrane development for fuel cells.
Is that mainly happening in the UK?
The UK and Europe. We've got good relationships with the funding bodies in the UK, but there are also pan-European projects, and they're particularly attractive because it allows you a wider geographical area to interact with other companies. So it gives you a better chance of building a relationship with the key leader in a particular area.
No, for sure. Do we have any questions at this time about the membrane material for the electrolyzer or for the fuel cell that ITM is working on? Don't be shy. Must be very clear.
Great.
But what are your impressions of the fair in general this year? Is it your first year?
No, it's our third year. It's been a great show. It's always very tiring. I came here very early on Saturday morning and has been building the stand with a colleague, and I'll be here till late tonight packing it away. But Hanover is the biggest event in our calendar. We do structure a lot of our releases and product launches around the fair, and this week's been no exception. It's been the culmination of a lot of work technically with all of the products that we've brought here for the first time this week. And we've had a very, very good range of visitors from direct customers and also potential partners who want to work with us on further development of either technical, different technical aspects or developing bespoke products or energy systems. It's been very good.
Yeah, and how was the rest of 2012 looking? What are you going to be focusing on?
2012, I think, is the year where ITM's going large. We are getting more and more interest from the market for larger electrolyzer systems in particular. We've continued to extend our product range, trying to access the sort of output capacities that people are asking for. But there's no question that the area where we've had the most interest has been hydrogen refueling and hydrogen for energy storage. So larger scale refuelers, starting to get products in the 1 megawatt range where we can provide hydrogen for a larger catchment of vehicles. And also in doing that, we're developing the technology necessary to inject hydrogen directly into the gas grid, which is a theme that's very topical in the UK at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. Does anyone else have any questions for Dr. Simon Bourne at this time? No, well then, I wish you all the best for 2012. It was great meeting you and talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Now please stay seated, because up next we have Dr. Schmidtchen doing a presentation about the potential of hydrogen and fuel cells. Thank you.